I came back from deployment with sand still in my boots, dust clinging to my uniform, and a single thought in my head. Home. My backyard. My deck. That steak sizzling on the grill. But when I pulled into my street, 9 months of imagining peace shattered in a heartbeat. My backyard was gone. The whole damn thing. 40 feet of land swallowed up by a plastic, fenced community garden with bright little HOA signs like salt in the wound. And the worst part? They'd sold it for $1 while I was overseas serving this country. $1. I just stood there staring, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles cracked. Then I heard it, the voice that could peel paint off a car door. "Oh, you're back already, Henry." She said it like I was an unwelcome guest in my own driveway. Amanda Langley, HOA president, queen of Eastwood Bluffs, mid-50s, bobbed hair bleached stiff, pink cardigan like she was going to church instead of running a scam. She sauntered down the sidewalk with that smug tilt of her head. "You want to tell me why my land is suddenly a pet project for your board?" I asked, stepping out of the truck, still in uniform. She smiled like a cat with a bird in its mouth. "Technically, Henry, that parcel was always in a gray zone. The board voted. It's for the good of the community. You weren't using it anyway. I've got a deed that says otherwise." "Well," she waved a manicured hand like she was shooing a fly. "We'll sort it out, but the funds are already allocated. And you know what they say, use it or lose it." Then she hit me with the dagger. "Maybe you shouldn't leave for so long next time." She turned her back like that was the end of it. I didn't shout. I didn't threaten. I drove straight to the county records office, still in my damn uniform. Boots clacking on the tile. Took 20 minutes to pull the file. There it was. Survey corrected. Property reassigned. And my signature scribbled on the line like a toddler had written it left. Handed. They'd filed it while I was deployed. Sold to the HOA for exactly $1. The clerk leaned in, whispering like he didn't want to get caught. "Strange thing, Henry. Looks like the board pushed this through as a boundary correction. Approved unanimously." I walked out with the copy, my jaw so tight I thought I'd crack a molar. Amanda had just picked the wrong soldier to rob. I installed cameras the moment I got home. I pulled every scrap of paperwork from the original purchase. And I called Curtis, an old buddy turned lawyer who owed me more than a few favors. Fraud, forgery, illegal seizure. We were going to hit them with all of it. But I didn't tell Amanda. No angry emails, no warning shots. I wanted her comfortable, smug, parading past my house with her clipboard like the queen of the clos de sac. The higher she climbed, the harder she'd fall. Weeks passed. I documented every board meeting where they patted themselves on the back, every dime they spent on mulch, every smirk she threw my way. And then Curtis called. "We've got enough. Filing in county court." Not just to reclaim my land, but to put their entire subdivision under review as fraudulently managed real estate. The morning of the hearing, Curtis shoved a thick folder into my hands. "Judge wants clean copies. And wait until you see Exhibit G." Inside was an affidavit supposedly signed by me, transferring 20% of my lot for community enhancements. Notarized by one Deanna Rudd, Amanda's niece. No license in this state. My jaw clenched so hard I nearly cracked the folder. Wire fraud, forgery, false documents. They'd turned my backyard into a federal crime scene. In the courtroom, Amanda sat with her vice president, Paul. The guy who tucked polos into jeans like he was auditioning for middle management. No lawyer, just her smirk. The judge, a retired Marine with eyes that scanned the room like he was back on patrol, took his seat. "Mr. Carter," he asked, "you're the legal owner of Lot 27? "Yes, Your Honor." And you allege this board reassigned part of your land without consent? Curtis stood. Not just reassigned, Your Honor. Forged a notary seal, submitted false affidavits, and sold the land to themselves for $1. Evidence is in Exhibits A through G. Amanda didn't even bother to stand. She waved a dismissive hand. This is all a misunderstanding. Henry's always been territorial. We were improving the neighborhood. The judge's eyebrow rose a fraction. Your job is not to commit real estate fraud, Miss Langley. Paul leaned in to whisper something, but the judge cut him off. If you're not an attorney, keep quiet. Then Curtis dropped the hammer. A motion to open their books. Financials, meeting minutes, emails, all of it. The judge approved on the spot, froze their projects, suspended their authority. For the first time, Amanda's eyes widened. She turned and hissed at me. You planned this. Careful, I said. You're still under oath. That night. Curtis called again. Neighbors have started reaching out. She's been annexing land from anyone absent. Vacation homes, the elderly, service members, and some projects funneled through a shell company owned by her cousin. She's laundering funds. I walked the empty garden behind my house, weeds strangling the sad tomato cages. Then I saw it. Fresh mulch. A laminated tag reading Expansion Phase 2 approved. Dated after the court's injunction. She'd ignored the judge. Curtis filed contempt first thing in the morning. The inspector showed up by noon, shaking his head. Blatant. They're lucky this isn't criminal. But it was. The state attorney dug deeper, uncovering 5 more fraudulent transfers, each with forged signatures and bogus notaries. Then Mary Ellen, the soft, spoken treasurer, came forward with internal emails. Amanda had ordered them to fast, track projects without notifying owners, offering hush money stipends from the beautification fund. A full audit followed. Curtis filed to place the HOA into receivership. The judge granted it, stripping Amanda and her cronies overnight. A third-party administrator took over. At the community meeting, the rec center was packed shoulder to shoulder. Neighbors I barely knew glaring at Amanda. Mary Ellen sat front row. Binder clutched like armor. The administrator took the mic. The land transfer was fraudulent. Mr. Carter's property will be restored immediately. Relief swept the room, but then came the hammer. All projects initiated under the prior board are suspended pending review. Amanda shot up, face flushed. This is absurd. You can't erase years of progress. From the back. Old Mr. Harlan barked. Progress doesn't usually involve felony charges, Amanda. Laughter rippled through the room. Amanda stormed out, heels echoing like gunshots. For the first time, I felt the tide turn. But the fight wasn't over. 2 days later, investigators executed a warrant at her house, seized records, electronics, safe full of burner phones and debit cards. And then came the bombshell. She'd been selling homeowner data, names, birthdays, garage codes, all peddled to shady contractors and flagged firms. It wasn't just land theft anymore, it was identity fraud. Federal data trafficking, charges stacked like bricks. Wire fraud, mail fraud, money laundering, conspiracy. The whole board implicated. Paul cracked first, traded testimony for immunity, handing over her private email server. The emails revealed everything. Pressure, threats, even plans to expand her scheme statewide. I should have felt triumphant. But one night, standing alone by the gutted garden, I faltered. I thought of the time lost overseas, of coming back to find my home stolen. Maybe I should have just let it go. Maybe fighting meant dragging myself deeper into a war I didn't want. The thought stung, Had I lost more than just land? But then I remembered the others, the elderly neighbor fined for unfinished shutters, the young family threatened with liens that didn't exist, Mary Ellen's husband, whose permit had been delayed because Amanda whispered the right word in the wrong ear. It wasn't just my fight anymore. And that's when I knew I couldn't let it go. Not for me, not for them. When the federal indictment finally dropped, Amanda's bail was denied. They found a passport in a fake name and tickets to the Cayman Islands. She wasn't going anywhere except a courtroom. I sat through the sentencing, the coldest courtroom I'd ever stepped in. Amanda in gray, hands trembling, eyes glued to the table. The judge read off the charges: wire fraud, tax evasion, racketeering. Curtis gave me the nod. I stepped forward, voice steady but burning. I came home expecting peace. Instead, I found my land stolen, my name forged, my trust shattered. Amanda Langley didn't just steal property. She stole peace of mind, turned neighbors into suspects, used fear as a management tool. I fought for this country. Never thought I'd fight for my own backyard. But I did, and we took it back. With patience, law, and truth. The judge didn't flinch. 24 years federal prison, no parole. Amanda didn't look at me. She just sagged, a hollow version of the queen she once played. Afterward, the neighborhood changed. The HOA was dissolved, replaced with a voluntary council. Dues became donations. Meetings became open votes. No more clipboard dictatorship. No more fear. Amanda's house went to auction. The sign with her name torn out of the garden and dumped face, down in the grass. She'd built her empire on stolen ground. And now it was rubble. I stood on my deck one evening, cedar posts freshly stained, fence line restored. The air was sharp, carrying the smell of cut grass and charcoal from a neighbor's grill. For the first time since I came back, the place actually felt like home. And Amanda? She was just a cautionary tale now, whispered on porches. A reminder of how quickly power turns to dust when it's built on lies. The lesson? In neighborhoods, in life. The only way to stop corruption is to face it head on. And that's exactly what we do here on HOA Drama Unfolded.